and welcome back to Call Sheet Confessions. I'm your host, Mia LePage, and my guest today is a very special guest. He is an award-winning executive producer and casting director. He's the founder and CEO of Goodwork Productions. Some of his credits include working with Apple TV, F1, American Express. My guest is JP Stanley. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited to sit down and talk with you today.
Excited to be here. It's an honor.
Yes. So I came across your work on social media, and something funny actually, which I love, is you'll post and say, "Hey, we're looking for a PA,"
hmm
and give people, opportunities to get on set and get that experience. And I saw you post one day, and I wasn't available. I wanted to do it, but I was not available. And my friend Chloe
Yes.
PAs, so I sent it to her, and she ended up working that day on
Yeah.
set.
Yeah. I love Chloe. She's great. And it's just, for me, I don't know. I think opportunities can seem far and few when you're just starting, and it can
Yeah.
seem so intimidating and overwhelming. And I think a lot of times when you want to get started in something as nuanced as film, it feels, like I said, intimidating, right?
Yeah.
So it feels like you don't know what to do, and sometimes I just try to tell people, like, just do something, do anything, and just start
Right.
doing things, and eventually you will learn what the right things are to do. And so for me, it's like I always want to give opportunity to, like, have new people on set. And a lot of times people are like, hey, the directors or some of the keys will be like, can you put this person on? This is my friend, this is my friend. And I love doing that, don't get me wrong, but, like, I don't know, I love fresh faces on set. I love connecting with new people. And it's just fun to, like, meet these young faces and just be like, what do you want to do with the industry? And just
Yeah.
really hear what they want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And I totally agree. As long as you're moving forward, even if you don't know, like, have everything planned out, but
hmm
as long as you're taking steps forward, you're going to learn and figure it out along the way. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's cool to be able to kind of give that leg up to someone and get new faces on set. Like, that's my favorite part about, like, working in production, is talking to all these different people and hearing about everyone's backgrounds and
Yeah.
just getting to work with cool people.
That's the best part. Like,
Yeah,
this would not be a fun job if the people weren't fun. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So take us back. What were you like as a kid? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of always been a lot of energy, if you will. I mean, I grew up all over the states. So I was born in Wisconsin, grew up in Nebraska a little bit as a
Mm.
kid, and then grew up in Florida as a teen.
Okay.
So kind of like I said, all over the map a little bit. But
Yeah.
I mean, ever since I was four, I just knew I wanted to make movies. Like, and I of course you don't know what that means when you're 4 years old. And so it was
Right.
just like my mom kind of stuck me in some theater classes, and that started to stick, and continued doing acting and all of that. And then when I moved to Florida, I had gone to a summer camp and took a dance class and was like, I think I want to do this. And kind of told my mom after she picked me up from class or sleepaway, and she was like, I have no idea what this means, but we'll figure it out. And signed up for, like, a pre-professional dance program, and the rest is history, and kind of did all of that. And yeah, so for me as a kid, I think it was just I always was performing, if you will. And
Yeah.
it's ironic because now I'm behind the camera rather in front of it, but I think it's just wanting to bring joy and, like, love and energy to people. Like, that's always been my MO, even as a kid, whether it was through dance or acting or, getting in trouble in school because I was, making kids laugh and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it was always about for me, and that's what it still is about. Like, I get the most joy out of connecting with people and making people feel things, especially when it's kind of, like, organically initiated. And what I mean by that is, and it's something I got a lot of joy out of when I was a choreographer and a dance teacher, was kind of creating these experiences for people to discover these things on their own, right? Because I
Ah.
can sit here and tell you all these things and be like, well, Mia, if you just go do this or you just go do that, life will be easy for you. But it's like, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. And so
Right.
for me, it's so fun having these kind of opportunities, and bringing PAs on set, like posting like, hey, I need a PA. Like, to me, that's kind of one of those organic experiences where it creates these opportunities for people to learn things about themselves and to learn things about the industry on their own.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm sure you've been there when you try to teach somebody something and you're like, just do this and I'll come back, and they're like, not paying attention or they don't care. And so to have people come onto set and to organically say, hey, what is this? How does this work? Or, just to, I don't know. For me, those are the exciting opportunities. And so as a kid, it was always just like, how do I perform? How do I get in front of people? How do I get others to perform? Um, But yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, totally. And
Cool.
I relate to that a lot. Like I was that kid in class always making people laugh or
Mhm.
teaching dance classes at recess. Like I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool to kind of like give the opportunity to get that ball rolling and be able to ask those questions and kind of, dip your foot in and see
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So from learning that you were really interested in dance, what was the next step?
Yeah, it's funny because like when I started doing dance, I loved dance, but to me I always saw it as a medium to further film. And it was like, okay, I'll be a
Mm,
professional dancer and then I'll become a professional actor by like, 30 or something. And then by the time I'm 40 or 50, maybe I'll become a producer. And, I had this kind of whole thing played out of like, this is the dominoes of how it's gonna to lay out. And of course the universe was kind of like, well, we're gonna speed that up for you. But it was yeah, I mean, I moved to LA. I was gonna go to college. It was, that was kind of I think like most people do, it was especially if you're in the arts to appease your parents and sorry mom, but it was, one of those things where it's just
yeah.
like I don't really want to go to college. And so I did the whole thing. I auditioned for schools. I went to orientation and was just at orientation was like this is not for me. I'm not meant to be here. Met some really great people there, but was just like, I'm not meant to be here. And so from there, it was like, I need to move to LA. Like, it just felt like this really intuitive calling, if you will. Moved to
Yeah.
LA, got signed with a dance agency, and just kind of did the thing for a while. Did the dancer thing, was like, okay. And then eventually it was like, I think it's just like anything, right? You do it for a while, then you get comfortable with it, and then you're like, okay, I'm kind of ready for some more.
Yeah.
So I, was like with my dance agents, like, hey, I want to start doing acting stuff, and they were like, okay, cool. And it was kind of becoming a more common thing too, where a lot of dancers were starting to go out for like acting and
Yeah.
commercial roles and stuff. And um, so I did that, and it's just like anybody else in LA doing the grind. You're just doing it. You just go to auditions, you do your callbacks, all that, and it's fun, it's fine, it's great. But I was like, there's got to be a way I can get more jobs. And one of my friends who was also a dancer no interest of becoming a performer in terms of acting or that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
She ironically is a roller skating dancer background for the for Usher now.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
and shout out Keon. And she was an intern, and she was just telling me about it. We were working a dance job together, and I was like, "That's really cool." And she was like,
Mm.
"Yeah." Eventually, she left the internship and was like, "Hey, do you want my spot?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I took it, did the internship, learned all about casting, um, and completed the internship within like 3 months. And then they were like, "Hey, do you want to, either we say goodbye because you're done working for free now,
Yeah.
or you can have a job as a casting assistant." And so I was like, this is a lot of fun. I've been giving myself projects, which I was doing. It was like
Yeah.
anytime I fit the breakdown, it was like I'm just gonna slip myself into here, come
Yeah.
do the audition, and then on top of that too, I was able to give my friends auditions.
That's
So
awesome.
that was kind of like, yeah, that to me kind of felt like a cheat code for a little bit. Um, and then kind of just worked my way up to being a casting director. Went to being casting associate, then a junior casting director, and then a senior casting director. And I think through the process was kind of just like, I very much more so enjoy being on this side of the table and this side of the camera than I do in front of it.
Ah.
I just don't like being told what to do,
Yeah.
And especially when I was a dancer, there was a lot of, and I think it was just the time period too. Dance has evolved so much, and there's so many cool things coming out of dance right now. But I think in like 2017, 2018, dance was just so like regurgitated, and like I just wasn't loving a lot of the things that people were doing. And same thing with acting at the time. And I think a lot of it too is just what are you getting called in to do, right?
Yeah.
So it was like I just want to tell myself what to do or tell others what to do. And if I'm giving myself these auditions, at least I'm in a way telling myself what to do. So did that, did the casting, then kind of just started casting things for my friends' projects on the sides, like passion projects and things, because it's like, okay, well now we have this casting director friend,
Yeah.
which turns into start just kind of producing things, which then turns into being a producer, which then turns into the production company, and the rest is history. But yeah, I mean, I think for me, it was after dance, it was like, okay, how do we get to the next step, which is acting, and then it kind of just, like I said, spiraled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
During that internship, what was like really sparking your interest? What are some of those like
yeah.
day-to-day things that you were like, "Oh, I actually really like this work?"
Yeah, I think it was probably two things. I think one is, right when I started the internship, they were like, you can get as much out of this as you want. Like, if you like, we're not going to like say you have to work on X amount of projects a month. It's like whenever a new project starts, we'll tell all the interns, and whatever interns are available, the casting directors will then choose. Because it was typically like casting director, maybe a junior casting director, a couple casting associates, a casting assistant, and then 2 to 3 interns
Okay.
and per project, so and I was just like always jumping on it to be available. Like it was just like literally every day, if they were putting out a new project, I was like, I'll do it, and it was
Yeah.
just wanting to jump on and learn as much as I could. And I think that's something that's really fun for me in general, is I'm just somebody who loves novelty and new things. And
Yeah.
so that was definitely part of the enjoyment and just learning. I've always been so fascinated by the movie making process. And so for me, it was just being able to kind of see one little, what I want to say, iota of that process. And like, so that was cool, getting to see the behind the scenes was just like so
Yeah.
inspiring. Getting to see, behind the scenes of like the casting softwares, and just like truly like sitting on, I know some of this times has a bad connotation, but really literally sitting on the casting couch, with the casting team, looking at these screens of people and watching these auditions. That was really exciting. And I think the second thing for me was I love teaching other people as much as I can.
Yeah.
That's why I loved being a dance educator. But I think for me, it's like it's that kind of opportunity, especially once I started to get into being a casting director, and I do miss so much of the in-person casting. But it's right. It's getting to meet with actors. It's getting to talk to them. And like when you're one-on-one with an actor in a room, even if there's 7 people sitting behind you, they're kind of invisible, and it's just you and the actor, like how you and I are connecting right now. And like
Yeah.
you really get, even just in 10 minutes, to get to know this person, to get to know their heart and like their soul. And like I just feel like the walls come down so quickly with actors, and like they can just come in a room and be like, oh my God, I just had the worst day ever. And like, please, I just
Yeah.
want to book this audition. And I just got told that I'm like fat and ugly by my agent. And it's like, they're such real people,
Yeah.
like we all are, but they're just so willing to like express it and relay it and just connect. And and so that's what I loved about it. And the feedback, right? Being able to say like, that was incredible. You're almost there. What if we try this? And just that play, it's a lot of play.
Yeah.
And because, when people think, is a lot of times they think like casting directors are out to get them. And it's like, we want you to succeed,
Right.
because the more you succeed, the more I succeed, right? So it's
Yeah.
like if you're that close, and that was what was really fun, was like those processes, the play process, like the you're so close. What if we just try this? So I think between getting to teach people, I say teach, but I guess more so like direct and guide, and I don't want to use the word direct because we're no way directors, but just that experience, and again, getting to connect with people, right? Share
Yeah.
love, energy, just all of that kind of stuff. So I think for me, it was really just the connecting with actors, and the getting to just know more and more behind the movie creation process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think, coming from a performance background of dancing and acting, do you think that gave you a good eye for talent, or what are some things that you look for when you're working in casting?
Yeah. I think definitely gave me a good eye for talent. I think something too is it just gave me empathy for the performer.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I started my company was, especially when I was working as a casting director, and this is less about the casting agency I was working for and more for productions, is a lot of times as casting directors, we go on set, and we watch, or sometimes we even work. I mean, like, especially for the larger, features for Netflix, Hulu, fill in the blank, when we're casting, let's just say 200 extras, a lot of times we'll put ourselves in as an extra, so then we can go and spy on all of our background and make sure they behave, which they don't sometimes, which is very scary.
It's like
And
Undercover Boss.
it is a little bit like Undercover Boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you meet some really cool people, and then you watch some people do some crazy things, and you're like, okay, you won't be invited back. But, um, is having that empathy for the performer, for sure. Because like I
Yeah.
said, one of the reasons I started the company was just watching production on set sometimes, and the way they treated background, and not even just background, other people and stuff. But I think background often takes the brunt of it, right?
Yeah.
Because if there's no dancers on set, background is like the bottom of the totem pole,
Right.
So it's wanting to make sure that everybody on set has a fair, good experience,
Yeah.
you know? And like that's one of the things that I say about good work is it's like, you know, it's very simple, right? Good people making good projects, but everybody's making good work now. And so that's not really the bar anymore. You know, a lot of kids can have iPhones and make really good stuff now. And so it's
Yeah.
like, for me, the bar that we're raising is like the experience of it. And like one thing I can proudly say is that people always walk away and they're like, from top to bottom, that was, you know, either the most seamless experience I've had or just so much fun, or I love the energy that the crew is radiating. And like, that's something that makes it a good work production. And, you know,
Yeah.
every now and then there's, you know, sets we have where you can feel that's like the stress is coming in and people are like, ugh, you know, and sometimes we walk away and I can say to my team, like, you know, that was not a good work production. And but
Ah.
it's not that we did everything we could to make it a good work production, right? It's
Yeah.
just that sometimes the film gods just throw a lot at you, you know? Sometimes they just throw a lot at you. But to answer your question, you know, I think it definitely gives me an empathy to performers. I think it
Yeah.
gives me an empathy to be willing to give them more space. I think a lot of times people can be like, you know, oh, just turn it on, just go, just go, just go. Or like, okay, action. Oh, why did they, you know, F up or whatever? And it's like, okay, give the person 4 seconds to breathe, right? They're a human like you and I. Maybe they're overwhelmed. And I think too, yeah, I mean, right? You know, as a dancer, you understand. It's like you can look at somebody and go, they get it. They get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the biggest things too, especially as a casting director, is finding directability, right? Because talent is great, you know, beauty is great, but like directability is where it's at. And like,
Yeah.
I don't want to send a talent to a director that, you know, can't be directed.
Right.
So, so I think for me, yeah, I think it gave me a lot of empathy, and then also too, you just like I said, I mean, growing up as a dancer and a performer, you just look at someone and you go, they just have it, you know. And I don't even
Yeah.
think you have to necessarily be a performer sometimes. Like even, you know, our moms are just like, wow, that girl just has it, you
It's
know.
so true.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, yep, you got the eye, mom.
Yeah, yeah. Like sitting at competition, you're like, oh, that one was a little, and I'm like, okay, you get
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah. And your
yeah.
mom's making notes in her book, like, I don't think they'll place, and you're like, whoa.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But it's great to hear, it's about the talent, but it's also about being able to take that direction because
Yeah.
it makes so much sense. Like if you're on set and you need to take a note, you need to be able to take it and apply it and do that quickly.
Yeah.
And I think that's something you learn as a dancer very early on. Is being able to take that constructive criticism and apply it,
Yes.
after hearing it one time.
Yes.
Because if someone's having to say it over and over again, and you're still not getting it, then it's going to be tough to work with you.
Yeah. I will say dancers are arguably the best type of performer to work with.
Ah.
I love actors. Don't get me wrong. I've been one. But they can be a little bit of a diva sometimes and but it's, again, I love my actors. But dancers just, they never complain. They never, like, it could be pouring rain and and I don't ever want to be in these situations either. That's another thing too, is having a production company now is like not putting performers in these situations. Now, sometimes you will be. I mean, there was interviews recently just of the Odyssey and Matt Damon being like, this was arguably the absolute worst shoot of my life, just being out in the pouring rain in Ireland or whatever. And so there are times, but again, we're all sacrificing for like the love of the art. But like
Yeah.
to knowingly subject somebody to horrible conditions and be like, oh, we don't have any towels or anything, that's just not okay. So,
Yeah.
kind of lost my train of thought on what we were talking about, but
No, good. So you worked yourself up to becoming the senior casting director. What then made you want to open your own production company?
yeah. Yeah, so was doing that for a while, the senior casting, and then, like I said, was kind of starting to produce some things on the side, cast some things on the side for my
Yeah.
friends. I believe it was 2019. Yeah, it was summer of 2019. I got invited to go to this artist in residency in Virginia,
Okay.
on the eastern shore of Virginia, and super beautiful. But it was 2 weeks, and they have these directors from all over the world come, and they basically come and make short film. Well, they each of the director makes a short film, and then at the end of the residency, they have a film festival and they premiere them, and people from all over the town come, and it's super cool. And but anyway, so I was invited, and I was invited as a performer. So like they would
Okay.
invite, let's just say 20 performers that could act, dancing, all these things. And then, we don't even audition. We would just kind of like take classes, and the directors would watch, and then they would be like, okay, I want these 5 people for my film. And, you'd be in multiple films and stuff. And So anyway, the long and short of it is one of the directors that was there I had worked with in the past, and we had kind of, even though I wasn't supposed to, agreed to work on a film together. So we co-wrote, co-directed, and I starred in it. And he had technically starred it too, but he kind of had like a Stan Lee role where he was like, just like a little post office cameo. And that I think to me was kind of the impetus, right? Like the film was called Stage Moms, and it was this kind of mix of like Dance Moms meets Ja'mie. I don't know if you're familiar with Ja'mie. It's an Australian TV show where Chris Lilly, he's a comedian, dresses up as like a 17-year-old who goes to this private school, and she's very posh and all this
Okay.
stuff. And it's kind of like those two merge. And so I
That's so
play
fun.
this stage mom, and there's another gentleman that plays a stage mom, very hairspray, Mrs. Doubtfire-esque. And so the only people that know that we're not real women is the audience. And we have these like 7-8-year-old kids that like don't give a rat's ass about the theater, but we're just like, killing each other over this to try to get our kid to be at the top of the billboard. And it was, and I mean, we even got pushback at the festival. They were like, we had somebody who was like, this is completely transphobic and all this stuff. And it was like, no, I mean, if this is transphobic, then Hairspray is transphobic, then Mrs. Doubtfire, all these things or whatever. And so I think, between getting the pushback and then when we did premiere it at the festival and getting such, praise from it, and seeing that we weren't doing it in this derogatory way,
Yeah.
That to me really was the impetus of like, oh my God, this is, not that it's easy, but I think it's like when you do something for the first time, you're like, what am I waiting around for? Like,
Yeah.
when am I just waiting for the perfect conditions to do something? So I think having that film happen, seeing it happen at a premiere, and just having really great reception for me, I think that was like, okay, let's do it. And so within less than a year, we had formed the company. And yeah, the rest was history again, I'll say. But it made another short film right before the pandemic started. It was just continuing to make things and do things and work on set and experience people have these just horrible experiences, whether it was just being paid late or, whatever, taken advantage of, and just being like, you know what, like we're making really good work for other people, and we're wanting to treat people better. Let's just do this on our own.
Yeah. And it's great to be able to take that experience of hearing those things that weren't that great and being able to apply that to what you're doing and make it better.
Yeah.
I think that's like something from every experience you can learn. If your boss is doing something you really like, oh, I want to do that. If they're doing something you're like, oh, I wouldn't handle it that way, then you can make that change when you're running the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what's on your call sheet now? What does a day in your life look like?
Yeah, I mean, do you want to know what's actually on my call sheet, or do you want to know like what's?
I want to know both.
Okay. I mean, I love a call sheet.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about production. My call sheet always has, I don't care if it's, I'll say a $50 shoot, and there's no such thing as a $50 shoot, but I don't care if it's a $50 shoot or a $50 million shoot. Like, I will always have a full top of the line call sheet because I think it sets the bar for your production, right? This is what everybody that's sometimes has never met you before is getting as their kind of introduction to coming to set, and so sometimes like I've worked on jobs where I've gotten like a text, and it's like, hey, and you're like scrolling through the text to see Mia and what your call time is, and and it's just that just goes to show too that like production doesn't care. Right. And I think you want production to care. So for me, my call sheet's got to have like, the production company, the client logo, if there's an agency logo, I want people to like, I think people get excited about that stuff too, right? Like if it's a Nike shoot and they see the Nike logo on there, it makes people be like, take it more seriously. They're like, even the talent or the crew's like, man, I'm getting ready for a Nike shoot today, And, and so it's, again, it's setting the bar, for me, it's also important to have like, all the little stuff. I love the weather. I love having, the nearest hospital, knock on wood that we never need it.
Right.
And then like anything else that's kind of just pertinent for the day. I don't know. I think it's kind of fun when a call sheet has like multiple meal breaks, and the more complex a call sheet is to me, the more fun it is. I don't know. I think it's like, again, it shows the production value, the production level. It's cool to see all the departments. I don't know if you like reading credits when you watch movies. Like I'm a big credit reader. So for me, even when I was a performer, like I remember, just going onto sets and like having call sheets that have like 200-300 people on it and just reading every name and every role and just being
Yeah.
like, this, what does a gang boss do? You know, like what does that even mean, right? You know, and just
Right.
being so blown
Yeah.
away by it. So yeah, so I think for me a call sheet is like formal and it's informational, but it's also inspiring, right? It's
Yeah.
inspiring on like in a workplace level. It's like you're looking at this call sheet and you're like excited to clock into work today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the feeling you want to have. And
Yeah.
that's the best. Like when you look and you're seeing everything we're going to do today, you see everyone's name on there, you
Yeah.
have the weather, everything, and you're excited to get on set. And like you said, having that project at the top, that Nike logo or whatever, it's like, all right, we're doing this
Yeah.
today. It gets everyone excited. And it shows how much like intention goes behind the call sheet and like that everyone's valued who's about to come and work that day.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I think like with set, it's, you know, it's so interesting, right? Because I think set is one of those things where every single person is so important.
Yeah.
Like you genuinely could not make it happen without every single person. You know, sometimes you go to like a restaurant or you go to a store and you're like, do we really need 7 people standing around? You know, whereas on set, it's like, yeah, we need these 7 people standing around.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like, that's why I say, like, even with whether it's background or PAs, like wanting to make everybody feel so important because they are literally so vital to it. I mean, and it's like, it would just be like if you and I walked out of here after this podcast and there was not a single person or a car on the street, we would literally be like, what's going on? You know, like it'd be
Yeah.
weird. It's like, so that's why background is so crucial. And that's why I think everybody is so crucial and everybody should feel so important. But then at the same time, set has this interesting dichotomy, right? Because we have such a clear hierarchy.
Right.
But I think it's this hierarchy in a way that it's just kind of like a machine where it's like, you know, you have to use one thing in order to then it to default to like, okay, now where do we go from there? And so I think hierarchy is great in the sense that it forces responsibilities to be clear.
Yeah.
I just don't like when people are like, I mean, I've literally been on set before where someone's like, well, I'm going to pull rank right now. And I'm like, well, I'm going to pull rank because I'm the EP and you need to stop doing that, you know? So it's, you
Yeah.
want it to be this kind of like very cohesive thing where everybody feels like they can speak up. And that's what I want on set is that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I want BG to start talking to the director while we're in the middle of like a 40-person shoot and be like, what if we did this, you know?
Right. Right.
But, you know, everybody should feel like they could talk to anybody and it
Yeah.
shouldn't feel like, you know, you can't talk to the DP at lunch or something. You
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
I like that. I think, yeah, that hierarchy and like roles being clear is so important for just like clarity
Yeah.
in conversations
Yes.
and like behaving on set and knowing
Yeah.
like where you're needed. But that I love that too. Like at lunch, you can talk and ask questions and
Yeah.
you don't need to be scared to talk to people at the top of the call sheet. You know, it's great to take that experience to do so and
Yeah.
learn from them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So and it's good too because it outlines responsibilities and I
Yeah.
love being on set when someone's like asking me a question. I'm like, that's not a me question. That's the first AD. That's the production coordinator. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
it makes it nice too for all of us to be able to delegate and not have to wear so much responsibility.
Yes, it
Yeah.
makes those roles very clear that you know which thing is assigned to which person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an executive producer, what does that look like? What does that role look like and how do you kind of step into that? And if someone's a PA right now
Mhm.
or a producer that wants to work their way up, what does that look like?
Yeah, you know, I think what the thing about being an executive producer, right, is that it really varies on like what project you're working on,
Yeah.
and then also too like what level of um, how do I want to say this? Like what level of like involvement you want to have, if you will, you know, because obviously if we're talking about features, you know, there's times where there's EPs that are there for visibility, right? You
Yeah.
know, and it's like if you attach, you know, Steven Spielberg or J.J. Abrams to something, it immediately gets visibility, right?
Right.
And sometimes those you know, EPs have never come to set, you
Yeah.
know, and they're just truly there for a name, and that's fine too. And but then there's also too where you have like the indie projects, right? And those EPs are kind of taking on a litany of roles, right? And so I think when you're working on anything as an EP, whether it's a commercial, you know, an indie project, a music video, you know, something that's not a feature or a TV show, you know, where that's a lot more executive based, administrative kind of questions of like, you know, do Susie and Ted work well together? And I'm not even
Mhm.
talking about do they camera test well together? Like, can we get them to behave at lunch, you know, without having like a PR nightmare? You know,
Yeah.
so these are more like higher level questions, whereas like for somebody who's a PA or a producer and wants to move into more of the tangible EP things, you know, that's a lot more of like kind of taking on the overarching responsibilities of the entire project. And I think
Yeah.
the best step for if you want to be an EP is to become a line producer, because being a line producer, you will learn either a line producer or a UPM. I mean, you will learn, which I argue they're kind of the same thing. I know one is more finance and one is more execution, but that's really where you're going to learn the ins and out of set. I mean, when you're the especially when you're the UPM, you are in charge of everything on set. I mean, even though the EPs like oversee you, if something goes wrong, you need to resolve it. And so like as the UPM and as the LP, and sometimes they work in tandem together depending on how big the project is. You know where every dollar is going. You know where every resource is being allocated. That really is, it's an overwhelming job, but it's also an exciting job.
Yeah.
And so to people that I say that want to be an EP, like work towards those roles, because you need to be able to have the ability to see big picture, right? Because a lot of
Yeah.
times, especially when you're a department head, you have your allocated budget, you have your allocated team, and that's that, right?
Yeah.
When you're EP, and or an LP or a UPM, it just depends on what kind of responsibility you've been given. You're overseeing that for multiple departments, and then your own department, and then departments that haven't even happened yet. I got to think about post-production in the future.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really being able to remove yourself from those kind of like nuanced things of like the day to day of like, oh, well, we're worried about, is $100 going to go for this or that? And just being able to like truly, and I'm not trying to sound like a broken record, but truly see the big picture of like, okay, like I cannot worry about that minutia, because like we have to move around, this stunt data over here to allocate these pickups, but then we're going to need to move this location back over, and then we're probably going to have to introduce a B unit to cover that. It's just, to
Yeah.
me, I think one of the best ways to describe being an EP is being a problem solver. I mean, it's and that, I think the more you can be calm, right? Because it's overwhelming, and sometimes I have to grab, people by the shoulders and be like, let's take a breath. We're not solving, cancer. We're not fixing world hunger. We're making a movie that hopefully
Right.
will make people smile or cry, but in a
Yes.
good way. And so for me, it's you are a problem solver, and it's just get all the information that you can get in front of you. What do we need to do? What do we need to accomplish? What resources and money do we have to accomplish that? And then what are our available options?
Yeah.
And I think as long as you're willing to like tell yourself that there's always a solution, I think then you can be a producer. Especially living in LA, there is a solution for truly everything. I mean, truly everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is one of the biggest problems you had to solve on set, and how did you go about solving it?
Oh, this is actually pretty recent. And this is probably one of the bigger problems that I've had recently on set. And every now and then I feel like you have to have a problem that makes you like remind you why you do what you do, right?
Yeah.
So this was, gosh, I mean, this was within the last month. We shot a music video for Major Lazer, and again, what I was just saying, right? Like problem solving. So
Yeah.
we have a set amount of budget for this video, and one of the things that we were doing is shooting outside in these really large spaces with a lot of dancers, and wanting to have, and shooting at night, and wanting to have this kind of like moonlit, overcast kind of feel. Well, we're shooting in these wide spaces with dancers, so we can't have like these typical light setups, right? Especially with Steadicam, because we're just going to see all these C-stands and have all these weird light casts and things like that. So, if we had an infinite budget, one of the easiest things to do is just a condor, right? A huge, massive light. We put it up 50, 75 feet in the sky. Those are expensive, though, So it was
Yeah.
like we have to kind of prioritize, and we wanted to accomplish a lot in this, and that's kind of our MO. And so we were like kind of problem solved, and our DP had found this jib lift from Sunbelt kind of thing, and it's like, okay, we'll have the grip team, kind of strap the light onto it, and we'll just take it up. It's a lot. I've seen other people do it too before. So we're like, great, problem solved. The crane's like a tenth of the price of the Condor. It's great. Get to set, and long story short, the crane's not coming. And mind you, it's a night shoot. So
You need the light.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's 6 p.m. So call time was 6, and it's like 6:05 that we find out that the crane's not coming. And the reason I highlight that it's 6 is because most things close at 5 or 6.
Right.
So, I'm pulling up my phone and being like, oh, well, let's just call another Sunbelt. And it's like, oh, well, they're all closed. Um, and it's like the entire shoot hangs around this crane, right? Because, I
Right.
mean, 90% of the shoot. So it's like, okay, what do we do? How do we find and so literally over the next like 20 to 30 minutes, I was just looking up any crane rental company that I could find that was open. I mean, even to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to like just call Quixote and pay an arm and a leg. But of course, Quixote doesn't have the right kind of cranes we want. And so by the truly the luck of the draw, and this is what I mean about not being willing to give up as a producer, because there is really truly a solution available for everything, is I found this random thing. It was like quick equipment for construction or something. It just all I saw and knew was that it said it was open for 24 hours, which was like amazing. This is what I need right now.
Yeah.
And so I called them, and I was like, "Do you have this?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Okay, well, thanks so much." And I was literally about to hang up, and the guy on the phone was like, "Well, I actually know a guy." And I was like, okay, now we're talking.
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you need? And I was like, look, I just need to get over 50 feet. I mean, I told him we were having a 65-foot one. He was like, well, I don't know if I can get that high. And I was like, that's fine. Just get me over 50 feet. He was like, all right, give me a second. I was like, we're in downtown. I need it yesterday. Like, I need it now. And so, I'm like just waiting for him to call me back. And praise God for this guy, because he was quick. I mean, would be like, okay, I'll call me back within 2 minutes, and be like, okay, hey, what time,
Amazing.
like, where's the address? What's this? What's that? And finally, long story short, he literally, I mean, within 20 minutes of me calling him, had this guy on the road. He had to come from like
Wow.
deep Inland Empire. So he was like an hour and a half away. It's like 6:30. He's like, he'll be there by 8:30. And I'm like, okay. And we're supposed to have our first shot at 8. And, or maybe 8:30, doesn't matter. But so finally the crane comes. And mind you, it's so much money. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, we're just gonna have to do this. We have to,
Yeah.
and I'm talking with the director, and he's like, dude, I mean, I'll just go talk to the DP. I mean, maybe we'll figure something else out. Like, how are we gonna cover? I mean, and I'm like, just don't worry about it. I'll make a way to figure it out, to pay for it. And that's what I was saying earlier too, where it's like you have to be able to have these high level kind of thoughts in your brain of like, people are going to be like, well, how do we pay for it? And it's like, I'm already thinking, it's kind of like chess, thinking 12 steps ahead of like, okay, well, if I just do this and move this and pull this out and we get rid of that person and then we bring this on, and then if I, don't eat lunch today, like you're adding all these things up to be like, okay, I will be able to make this work. And I know that, and nobody else needs to know that, maybe the other EPs if there's more than one. But so the crane comes, it shows up. A guy calls me. He's like, I'm here. Where do I go? I go out to the street. I'm like, where are you? He's like, I'm right here. I'm like, I don't see you. There's literally, and I can show you a picture, there's literally a like semi truck with a full crane, like the thing that a person sits in it to operate on the back. I'm like, oh my, we were supposed to have like a plant, like something that is set down. It's like towed
Okay.
in, we can drive it around with a little like thing. I mean, it's no bigger than like maybe 2 or 3 of these combined, these chairs. Not big at all. So this thing is massive,
Yeah.
like massive.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. And it doesn't even have like a jib or anything on it. It has like
Yeah.
a wrecking ball forklift type like claw. And I'm just like, okay. So I go get the DP and the gaffer, and I'm like, and they're just like, this is, I mean, the whole crew, you got like 30 guys walking out, just like taking pictures, and they're like, oh my days, I've never seen this. And God bless the crew, because they made it work. They truly
Yeah.
made it work. I don't know how the truck drove onto the lot. They were somehow able to rig the light to this like claw. They were able to run power up to it. And they made it work. And it was incredible. Man, I really thought that like, and that day was ironically the 5-year anniversary of Goodwork. And we had
Wow.
4 shoots in 3 days. And I was already just stressed out to the nines. I was only supposed to be at that shoot for like 2 or 3 hours because I had to go to another shoot the next morning at like 8 a.m. So I wasn't going to stay for the overnight
Yeah.
portion. And just me showing up there and they immediately being like, there's no crane, I was like, okay, the universe is like really testing me right now. But we made it work. And it's
Yeah.
an amazing video, and it should be coming out soon. And
That's so exciting.
but yeah, it was. I mean, and this is the type of crane that literally had like big metal things coming out the side, planting it into the ground. Like
Oh my gosh.
it was
Serious.
intense. It
Yeah.
was intense.
Yeah.
But again, we made it work, and it's like one of those things where it's like you just have to make it work.
Yeah.
And I really do give kudos to especially to the G&E crew, because like not always do you have a crew who's like, we'll make it work. Sometimes you have guys who are just like, that's not what we were promised. I'm not gonna I don't work on that equipment. Sorry, And so and again, that's something that I pride myself on, is as our team is always willing to adapt. And
Yeah.
and again, I praise those G&E guys, because like without them, like we wouldn't have had a shoot.
Right.
So it's yeah. Crisis
Yeah.
averted, but
Yes.
that was definitely very stressful, and again, 100% so thankful for the team, for the DP,
Yeah.
for the G&E guys on that. Like, just could not have done it without them.
Yeah, and along with problem solving, I feel like it's looking at the bright side of things, like kind of looking at that glass half full. Like, we're gonna figure it out.
Yes.
It's gonna work out, and just
Yes.
having like faith in that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of like kind of what I want to say, like delirium there, or like kind of craziness, where you kind of have to like delude yourself into like, this is all gonna work out.
Yeah,
It's all gonna
right.
work out.
Right.
Yeah, but it's I always tell myself, if I've done a really good job, I should be able to show up to set and have to do nothing. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that problems won't arise, and they always will. And I think that's one thing I'm constantly reminding myself as a producer, right? Because you think like, okay, we get, more and more successful, or we do bigger projects, and everything should just become more and more seamless. And it's like, that's
Yeah.
just not the nature of the job.
Right.
And so it's constantly reminding myself that it's like, this is the job. The job is fires. It is putting out fires. Like, that is what being a producer is. And like one of our best producers, his name is James, and like he always is like, wants like the most fires. Like, he loves being a field producer. Like, he literally said to me one time, and he was like, and he's British, I love being out in the field. Like, he's like, I love being out in the field, and like, he's like, I want to be on a shoot in Zion with 10 crew and 10 cast, and I'm the lead producer, and something goes wrong and everybody has to rely on me. And I'm like, that sounds like a stress-inducing experience.
Yeah.
And he's like, that I love, like, he loves it. And
Yeah,
like, he
likes that
loves,
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like that pressure too, but I like that pressure when I'm like in a full production office with like all resources available to me. I'm like, what
Yeah.
do you mean you want to be out in the middle of the desert? But again, it is that problem solving.
Yeah.
It's that like mentality of like, that doesn't work, but we're gonna find another solution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Truly. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get into some hot takes in Hollywood, so it's gonna be like a quick this or that.
Okay.
All right. Casting or producing?
Producing.
Producing. Why?
I mean, cheek answer, it technically includes casting,
Ah.
but just because I like to have eyes on the entire production.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to have I consider myself a bit of an auteur sometimes. I like to have my foot in every department. I don't like to invade their stuff. I definitely can't do their job better than them, but I just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Music videos or feature films?
Feature films. Yeah.
Yeah. Indie projects or studio projects?
Indie. Yeah.
You answered this one.
You can ask. What was it?
I was gonna say auditions in person or self-tapes.
Yeah, definitely in person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-tapes are fun when you have to like fly through something quickly, but nothing beats an in-person audition.
Yeah, I agree. And I want to see more of those because there's just a connection that happens
Yeah.
versus like through a screen. Like even like dancing, doing like dance self-tapes, I'm like, you're not going to feel what it would feel like if I was performing right in front of you.
Exactly. And we also do love to like meet you guys, because it's like, I do want to call people back for certain
Yeah.
things, because even sometimes when people walk in right away, I mean, it's like, oh, they're not right for this. But and again, it has nothing to do with you. It's just like,
Right.
oh, they're just not right for this. But it's like, oh, they're perfect for like that thing that comes. And so
Or
it's,
something else.
and you really get that connection in the studio.
Yeah. Prep day or shoot day?
That's tough. I'm a sucker for prep. Shoot day, but only when I like don't have to be there the whole day, when I get to like come and go as I please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to get into our crafty corner.
Okay.
What does your dream crafty look like? Your ideal crafty table?
I mean, like healthy snacks. I'm like a guilty snacker, I think, just like anybody else. And I have a lot of like dietary restrictions. So like I don't do well with gluten or dairy.
Me too.
Yeah. Like
Yes.
one of my favorite directors, he is vegetarian. So like for me, and I think just everybody has like all these dietary restrictions now. So I think for me it's this like what I want to say, like accommodating smorgasbord of like
Yeah.
really high end snacks too. Like I don't want goldfish and don't get me wrong, goldfish are great, but like I want like a pistachio bar and like charcuterie and like really just like top of the line like healthy snacks. Like when you get your
Yes.
check and you go to Whole Foods and you recklessly spend $100 and you only bought like 4 snacks. Like
Yes.
I want those levels of snacks, you
I'm on the
know?
same page
Yeah.
because a couple of guests have asked me like what my dream crafty looks like, and I'm like, I feel like mine's not the same as anyone else's, but I'm right there with you. Like,
Sparkling waters, like a
yes,
crisp fridge. Like you guys have a great crafty fridge, just like a fridge that just showcases all the beverages. I just want people to feel like they take a breath of fresh air when they come to crafty
yeah,
and like they just feel supported and loved. Yeah.
yeah. And you're working like on set for like 12 hours or
Yeah.
even these long days.
Yeah.
Like, when there's just candy on the table, I'm like, I need something to fuel me
I
for the
need
day.
nutrients.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I think it's great to have the candy as an option because then,
Right.
you can choose to be bad. But,
Yeah, yeah,
but I do agree with you. We need to provide nutrients. We need to
yeah,
nourish like the crew. Like they are sometimes here for absurd hours and absurd locations
yeah.
at absurd times of the day. And yeah, I mean, especially like that's when we have the budget for Crafty to go ham. Like I love to go ham on Crafty.
Yeah.
And like I love for people to take it home. I
Yes.
hate
Yeah.
having all the food because then it means I have to eat it.
Yeah,
So it's
right.
like I just love like when we're at the end of it, it's like everybody come and pack a doggy bag, get it out
And
of
take
here, like take it
yeah.
home. So but yeah, definitely healthy and generous. I don't ever want people to feel like they can't pick a snack because they don't want to take the last one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite tools or organizational systems?
I love a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a spreadsheet. Um, yeah, I think my biggest tools for me are spreadsheets and like and it's been a process of trial and error through a lot of other producers too. I mean, and that's one of the best things that I love about working with new people is getting to
Yeah.
see what they do and what works, and just like through experience of working with other producers, just building like I feel like I have a pretty good budget and production template that we use. I mean, anytime I show another producer or like I work on a new project and I'm like, can I suggest this template? Like they're always like, gee, like whoa, like what the hell? And but it makes my life so much easier, and it
Yeah.
really is like, and it's ironically something I was talking to a colleague about the other day is like production like tools are so like antiquated, like, and no shade to entertainment partners or any of that, but like, or even like breakdown, like Actors Access looks like it's operating on Windows 97.
That's so yeah, so
Movie
true.
Magic, like all of these really great softwares. And like I love Movie Magic. I love Movie Magic scheduling and budgeting. They're great. Like I use them, but they could just use like a little bit of a refresh.
Yeah.
And it's like and again was talking to this colleague about how it's like we don't have anything like Slack in the industry, right? Because even if I were, let's say, to have Slack as a production company, if I bring you on as a freelancer, then I have to say, okay, can you pay $15 to join this? You're not going to do that.
Right.
So it's like we don't really have a lot of great tools that like all of these other corporations get to use. We don't have we don't really need a CRM tracker, but we don't have all these CRM trackers and like budgeting tasks and tool monitors and whatever. I don't know, fill in the blank. So for me, it's like creating those and like
Yeah.
having them and then like, using them, see what works best, having other producers use them, changing them and updating them. But for me, a spreadsheet is like, I just feel like if it's not in the spreadsheet, if it's not in the project spreadsheet, it didn't happen. But yeah, spreadsheets are definitely the biggest one. Like to me, it's just like, it is spreadsheets. I feel like an
Yeah.
entire world of being a producer is living in a spreadsheet. Yeah.
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 Spreadsheets and the Google Calendar is
Yeah. Yeah. I love my
saving
Google
grace.
Drive and,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I tried to make like Notion happen for a while, but then it got too
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is the basics, like you
Right.
don't need to overcomplicate things. And sometimes like a Google Sheet or a Microsoft Excel really just is the way to go.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
JP, what is your industry ick? What's on your industry betrayal list?
Oof, that's a good question. Industry ick. I think bad attitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad attitudes. Like, I'm sorry, this is not an industry you choose to like get rich quick in. So there's no reason to have a bad attitude. If you want to have a bad attitude, I would say go be a doctor, but then it's like you can't even do that. Like that's like 10 years of school.
Yeah.
So it's like
Right.
that's in a lot of money. So I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know, be a finance bro. It's like the bad attitudes again, like we are in my mind all here for the same purpose. Like we
Yeah.
love art, we love entertainment, we love movies, and like I think we are so effing privileged to work in this industry. Like I think we're just so privileged alone to live in LA. I tell my
Yeah.
colleagues and my friends and people on set all the time, like remind yourself living in LA is a huge blessing. There are millions if not billions of people who like just post on social media and are like, I would die to set foot on Hollywood Boulevard. I would die to they
Yeah.
just see coffee shops and they're like, does Reese Witherspoon go there? And it's like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and then to work in this industry that like everybody watches TV, everybody watches movie, everybody
Yeah.
consumes content. That's another industry ick. I don't like the word content, but
Honestly, I feel the same way.
yeah, I
Yes.
don't like the word
Yes.
content, but unfortunately it is here with us and it is here to stay. But
Yeah.
just don't have a bad attitude and like and
Yeah.
do your homework, if you will. Like we don't have a lot of homework as production members. For crew members, it's usually a crew deal memo, maybe an NDA,
Yeah.
and just do your paperwork, get it in on time, and be a good person. Like that is the
Yeah.
quickest way to get kicked off of set, is being a bad person. Like I will time and time again always bring back somebody who is fun to be around and does 50% of a good job as the person who's like really good at it but terrible to be around.
Ah.
Because
Yeah.
I can teach the bad person, not the bad person, but like the person who's not as good how to do a better job. They can get better.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can always teach a mean person how to be kind.
Yeah.
So for me it really is, and that's our first core value of good work. Be a good human. If you're not a good human, unfortunately maybe our projects aren't for you. And it's
Yeah.
just that's who we like to surround ourselves with. It's something where even with the adaptability of the G&E on that crew, it's like you have to have that level of like, yeah, it really sucks that the equipment we wanted isn't here, but it's like, but there's this problem in front of us and we get to solve it. Not we have to solve
Yeah.
it, we get to solve it. And again, I think that's why when you remove the severity of this away from it and be like, okay, it's no one's gonna die if we don't do this. We're not
Right.
fixing like anything that people rely on. Like it's just this is a problem. It's just like a board game. It's just we get to solve this problem.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, be a good person, and I think you will like work way more than if you just sit around at home and hone in on your skill set. Don't get me wrong, a great technician is great, but you're only as good as you are, to other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I love that focus on fostering such a positive work environment and like a good morale,
Yeah.
because it makes the work better because everyone
Agreed.
wants to be a part of it and enjoys working together. And yeah, I agree. I think it's harder to fix a bad attitude, but if someone's lacking some of the skills, but they're there and they're willing and they have good energy, you can teach that person
Yeah.
that. And yeah, with the problem solving, like a board game, I love like, solving the puzzle, putting the things together, and
Yeah.
that's such a big part of production.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is. It is a problem solving, machine that never ends. But like I said, everybody is their own cog in that machine.
Yeah.
And if I were to try to do the production designer's job or the grip was try to do my job, the machine would explode. And that's why I love set, because it's so everybody is so vital. Like
Yeah.
everybody is truly so vital. It does not matter if you're the PA holding the bounce or the director calling the shots. I mean, like
Yeah.
truly we cannot make it without any of those people. And so
Right.
like it takes a village, and it's like a really special village and a village that I love, and like I feel like I'm so proud of Good Work and like the community that we've curated and the people that we've curated. Like there are some people who have been with us literally since day one. I mean, we have a hair and makeup artist who literally has been on every single one of our shoots since we started.
Wow.
So and that's the thing, like if you find good people and like they treat us well, we treat them well. And it's
Yeah.
like we want to create a family, but we also want to meet new people. I mean, that's why I love posting like I need a PA, come hang out with us. Like I
Yeah.
want to meet new people, and and see what other people are doing. Like, it's really fun to meet PAs, and just they don't even have to be PAs, but just meet people and be like, what do you want to do? How do you want to change the world? And just be inspired by that too. And especially because more often than not, most PAs are under 25. They have such a tenacity to them, and it is so inspiring because they're so unjaded, and they're so like,
Yeah.
this is how I want to drive the industry. And I'm like, I love it. I'll be your biggest
Oh,
supporter.
that's amazing. Yeah. Like to have that support too, and someone that believes in you and wants to hear about your hopes and dreams and wants
Yeah.
to like help you build that is so incredible.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. JP, you're on Call Sheet Confessions. What is your call sheet confession?
Ooh. What is an example? What do
It could be anything. The crane situation is kind of like a call sheet confession.
mm,
Like a crazy moment on set.
okay.
It's if a time you had to fire someone or you got fired, like anything. Yeah,
Okay.
any crazy like behind the scenes moment we wouldn't know.
Hmm. I mean, definitely the somebody calling hierarchy on set was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Um. Oh, I got one. Okay.
Okay.
So this was when I was working on like undercover boss style on
Yeah.
set.
Yeah.
So it was for a Netflix movie. It was called Work It. It's EP'd by Alicia Keys. It has Liza Koshy in it, and um, Kensington, I believe is his name. He's the boy from Love, Simon. Not the main boy, but like one of the love interests. Anyway, Sabrina Carpenter's in it. This is before she
Oh,
got super big. Great
so
film. You can go
cool.
watch it on Netflix. You will see me. I'm in the dance battle scene at lunch. But anyway, so they shot the movie in Canada, but they had to do some reshoots in LA, and so we were casting the background for the reshoots, and it was a lot of background, and so I was like, let me go spy on these people, make sure they
Yeah.
behave. And one of the days we were shooting in Northridge at CSUN, and which is crazy how many things are shot at CSUN,
Yeah.
and a really early call time. It was like 5 a.m. It was raining in the morning, and they had all of the typical. I mean, all the background, meet at a parking lot, and then they were going to be shuttled in, and they had courtesy breakfast there for all of the background, and and I'm just kind of there, just under one of the tents, trying to stay dry, and there's this kind of like kerfuffle, if you will, going on at the courtesy breakfast, and by the time I get over there, it's been hashed out. But I come to learn that one of the BG almost punched the caterer in the face over a
Oh my
breakfast
gosh.
burrito. Over a breakfast burrito. Over a breakfast burrito. I know.
That's insane.
I know. And so to this day, don't know the full details of what happened. I don't know if somebody cut them in line. I don't even think I think it was between the background and the caterer. And like I think he probably wanted more than what was being given.
Oh.
But the point is when should you ever get physical? First
Right.
of all, with anybody on set, unless you're a stunt person. But it to this day blows my mind that I think almost sometimes, especially when you're a background on a large, SAG project of that scale, to me, I almost think you're a guest, right?
Yeah.
It's an amazing opportunity to be. I was gonna say to be a PA. You kind of have to do a lot of work to be background, because sometimes you truly are just like, you have all this amazing food. You're hanging out on these incredible locations.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you get a full day's rate, and you only have to work for an hour or two.
Right. Right.
So like a lot of times I think they are like, you are a guest, and to just act that way, and just to like assume that you are entitled to something, and then to think that you can get physical with the caterer. Needless to say, they were never called back, and they had other issues throughout the day. I mean, there was times when we were being corralled to certain locations, and they were nowhere to be found. And I guess my call sheet confession in all of this is that there is a blacklist.
Yeah.
There is a casting director blacklist, and and every casting director has their own. And I will tell you that the softwares operate for us to have them.
Yeah.
Like, casting networks and all these softwares
Yeah.
foster in that as a tool. And there's different stages. There's like a, hey, be mindful of this person. There's even like a green light this person. Like, green means go. That we've worked with this person in the past. You should always call them in for an audition. There's be cautious of this person, because they've, maybe they were a no call, no show for a callback or something. Maybe, who knows, something could happen.
Yeah.
So just be cautious. Or it's, don't ever can hire this person because they almost punched the caterer in the face. So I guess my call sheet
Yeah.
confession is don't punch the caterer in the face, and be respectful to casting directors, and just be
Right.
respectful to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know sometimes casting directors can be non-respectful to actors, and I apologize for that. I can't control all the casting directors, but like I said to you earlier, casting directors want actors to succeed. We want performers to succeed. And I think another takeaway that I always try to tell people that I really try to stick with performers is you probably have about 6 to 10%. That's how much control you have over whether you book a job. It's truly under
Ah.
10%. Like there are I mean, I've had auditions before, in-person auditions, where we've had an entire role and I have 75 people called in to audition for that role, and right before I'm about to start production is like, we're cutting this role. I'm still going to see all these people because they've taken time out of their day to come
Yeah.
see me. I'm still going to see them, but none of them are ever going to get called back. All of them are going to go, what did I do to not get this project? And it has nothing to do with them, and sometimes it's,
Yeah.
even if it's like we're doing a role and you come and then they go, we want to change it to a girl. I mean, we want to change it to a boy.
Right.
Truly there are so many things that are outside of your control. I mean, I tell people all the time, sometimes you can genuinely be too pretty for stuff. Like sometimes we just want normal
Mm.
looking Joe Schmoes. Like, and living in LA, 80% of people are like all gorgeous. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
sometimes more often than not, it has nothing to do with you. And I will say more often than not, it's frustrating because there's times when it's like I want this person to book or I want to be able to put them in front of,
Right.
but it's just so many factors outside of even our control as casting directors. And so like if anybody takes away one thing whenever I like ever give casting director spiels or anything is that you have like 6% control over it, make that 6% count.
Yeah.
Like like make sure your headshots are up to date, make sure your profile is up to date. And that doesn't mean go spend $10,000. You can take headshots on an iPhone.
Right.
Clean background, well lit,
Yeah.
I don't think you need to have that blue thing for your self-tapes. I hate the blue
Yeah.
thing.
I'm over the blue
I hate the
thing.
blue thing.
Yeah.
So again, like you have like 6 to 10% control. Do what you can control, do it well.
Yeah.
But then let go of the other stuff because it's really like more often than not has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Truly nothing to do with you.
And I think that'll be so healing for performers to hear,
Yeah.
even coming from a casting director, that still there's like this 6%
Yeah.
chance, and it doesn't have anything to do with your talent. It's just things out of your control that might be impacting that.
Yeah. I mean, just to give you easy numbers, like I cast a Frito-Lay commercial, and we had about 10 roles in the commercial. Each role had about 10,000 submissions. So that's 100,000 submissions. And commercial casting moves fast. I mean, we prep, we get 1 to 2 days to cast, maybe 2 to 3 days of sessions, and then the next week we have callbacks. So it's like, there's no way we're going to get through 100,000 submissions. It's just not
Right.
possible. We're lucky if we get through half of them.
Right.
And then from those half, let's say we get through 5,000 of them, and then we select 2,000 of the 5,000 we've looked at. Well, then the system is going to automatically pull anywhere from 50 to 100 people of each of those roles. So
Yeah.
now from the 10,000, we're now down to just 100 people that are going to audition. And then from those 100 people that audition, just 5 to 10 of them are going to get a callback. And from that callback, only one of them is going to book. And I think I've done the math before. I mean, I think even just using that as an example,
Yeah.
it's like just getting a callback alone is like a 0.0005%.
Right.
So like I tell actors, like if you get an audition, go. Like
Yeah.
and not only go, but like praise yourself. Because like think about that. Like 100,000 people submitted and maybe 8 to 10,000 got picked. And from that 8
Right.
to 10, maybe 400 to 600 people got seen and got the chance to audition.
Yeah.
And it's like that, it's that crazy. So it's like literally, and I mean, you look at it, you go, how can I control those numbers? You can't.
Right.
And so that's why it's just like, I tell people submit as fast as you can,
Yeah.
especially on those, feature film casting goes a lot slower, but commercials and things like that, get in there as
quicker.
fast as you can. Yeah.
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 So you've had this career from going from performer to working on the back end and the business side of the industry. If you were starting over, or
Mhm.
for anyone that is navigating their journey in this industry and going from performer to the back end, or wanting to be a executive producer or casting director or performer, what advice do you have for people in this industry?
Yeah, again, I think kind of like I mentioned earlier, just start doing things.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds so simple, and it could literally mean like go to a yoga class. And it's like, what do you mean? Just start doing things, because
Yeah.
like then by doing stuff, you will essentially teach yourself what I need to do and don't do. And even when I say go to yoga, eventually you'll learn like, hey, either yoga's not really going to benefit me getting on a set, or this yoga studio has like 20,000 producers at it. Maybe I'll meet one day or whatever. I
Yeah.
don't know. And I'm just making something up. That doesn't mean you should go join yoga because you think that there's going to be producers there. But, is that just do stuff and
Yeah.
get on as many sets as possible. I think that's the best thing you can do,
Yeah.
is just get on set. Because getting on set is just going to introduce you to people over and over and over and over and over again, and just
Right.
making yourself available and invisible. Because like when I was a casting intern, like the reason I won't say what I think. The reason I know that I was able to move up so quickly among the ranks is because in my internship, it was like, I'm available, I'm here, and
Yeah.
every single time. And even if I didn't get picked, because they were like, slow down there, I got to like, share the food a little bit to some other people. It was just that like making myself known and just
Yeah.
showing that I was going to show up, I was going to be here. And even if you don't need me, I'll be here.
Yeah.
And like, those are the people that, I mean, one of our best producers that works on a lot of our projects. His name, I talked about James, the British guy. I mean, that's how we met. Is he kind of started working on a passion project of mine, and anytime something would come up, he was just like, "Hey, I'm available. I'll do it." And a lot of those things start in the passion project world, right? A lot of those are and I hate the free jobs, but the free jobs are a part of it, and I wish everybody could get paid $1 million, but it's just, you know, unfortunately, I think most people that work in this industry, if they weren't getting paid to do it, they would still do it.
Yeah, because they
So
love it.
and that's why we're here, right? And I think that's why it's important to show up.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to have a good attitude. That's why when people have a bad attitude, I'm like, do you want to be here? But
Right.
just show up and just do stuff. I mean, and
Yeah.
again, it sounds so simple, but it's like, it really is that. It's consistency. And it's like, even when I was a dancer, like, to get noticed by a choreographer, what do? You go to their class every week. You go to their
Yeah.
class every week. It's the same thing with casting directors. I mean, with producers, obviously not all casting directors have classes, but and I know it's a lot harder to get in-person auditions these days, but you know follow them on social media, interact with them. Like, there are people who interact with my post, or will always reach out when I post certain things, and
Yeah.
even to this day they've never maybe been chosen for that particular thing, but they're always in my mind when those things come up. And
Yeah.
and it does make it easier by like maybe even the fourth or the fifth time, where it's like, oh yeah, that's that girl Mia. You know what? Let's get Mia in here. And so it
Yeah.
does. I mean, even just one more example I'll say is like, there was a director who wanted to shoot a Postmates commercial, and let's just say over the course of 2 years, emailed these marketing executives at Postmates of like, let me do this commercial. Not even let me do this commercial, but just here's why it'd be great to work with you.
Yeah.
And he reached out to them 9 times. On the 9th time, again, over the course of 2 years, they were like, hey, great timing. We need a director for this. And they shot a commercial with them. And so the point is that like, it is about consistency and showing up and just being persistent. Like,
Yeah.
I think every successful person has always said that like, they're not more talented or smarter or better than anybody. They just didn't give up. That's it.
Right.
That's really it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just don't give up. And like, again, it's easier said than done, and you're allowed to have bad days. Throw a pity party. I love a pity party. I have really good ones. I have balloons and cake. You're welcome to come. But,
I love.
have the pity party for 24 hours, 48, and then buckle down and be like, okay, what can I do to like change this? And I think frustration is just our bodies saying that we know we deserve better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like,
Yeah.
take that frustration and turn it into energy, and just, again, if you want to be performing, a producer, a casting director, just get on set. And
Yeah.
if you do want to be a casting director, email casting agencies. They're looking for casting interns all the time. I would say no, that it's going to be very project based, because as most things are in this industry,
Yeah.
until you get like a full-time paying job for like a media agency or something. But casting agencies especially are always looking for interns, assistants, that kind of stuff, and production companies are always looking for PAs.
Yeah.
So, it's a great way to segue into it. And and I know a lot of PAs that have PA'd on our projects that have then gone on to meet other crew members that they're now working with like very consistently.
That's
And
awesome.
even PAs that want to then work in camera, now they're being called by DPs to go start and be, even if it's just camera utility or camera PA, you know, they're
Yeah,
now being brought into the department that they want to work in, and they
that's
can work their
awesome.
way up. And it's just, yeah, I think everybody wants to connect and everybody wants help. I think you just
Yeah,
have to like take that step of just say, I'm here to help, you
right.
know, and if somebody's like, great, come on in. If not, then just know that if somebody says no, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
exactly.
Would you say that you're living your dream?
Oh, yeah. I have to like pinch myself constantly, you know, because it's just like anything. There is the minutia and the grit and the frustration. But, you know, I think like even like 2 years ago, I was at Cine Gear with a couple of my friends, and that year it happened to be at the Paramount lot, and we were just
Ah,
walking around, and it was hotter than hell that year, and I remember we were just suffering in the heat, and you know, because they always do it in June, and I didn't go this year. I think it was at Universal, but everybody was kind of bitching and moaning about how hot it was, and I kind of paused and I said to the group, I said, you know what? Let's just take a moment because 5-year-old versions of ourselves would be freaking out right now if they knew that we were walking around on the Paramount lot
yeah,
because we work in this industry and we're looking at the latest and greatest tools and toys that are coming out for film. You know, like that's, and I think a lot of times working in this industry, there are those moments of surrealism where you do have
yeah,
to pinch yourself, where it's like, because otherwise you'll get jaded. You really
right.
will. And like I tell people all the time, like even when I'm like saving, you know, certain people's phone numbers in my phones, it's like you have to be like, holy like, you know,
Yeah.
this is Beyonce's manager, and you know, and I don't have Beyonce's manager's number, but you know, like there are
Yeah,
times where you can't get jaded and just be like, oh, I'm just saving another number. It has to be like pay the person this homage and respect, you know, because they're doing
yeah,
great things too.
right.
Um, but yeah, I think just constantly having gratitude and like
Yep.
reminding myself, because it's so easy to be like, oh, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. But I think one thing too that I always tell people is there's so much pie to go around. Like there is
Yes.
literally so much pie. So you don't have to worry about somebody who got that job that you think you should have gotten, because it's like the pie is overflowing truly.
Yeah.
And so it's, yeah, it's just like being so grateful for your journey, your experience, and just like, yeah, it's truly one of those things where everything feels so aligned. I feel like I wouldn't be the producer that I am today if it wasn't for having been being a dancer and being a performer, and just like even, you know, one of the directors that I work with, Zeb, you know, he grew up as a dancer, and like there's not a lot of people that understand dance on camera, you know, and like
Yeah.
that's so like when we shoot dance videos together, it feels, I don't know, it feels right because it feels
Yeah.
like it's like, oh my gosh, like we were dancers. And again, even if you just tell 18-year-old me that one day you're gonna be the producer running that dance video, that
Right.
you're just a measly dancer on, right, not not a measly dancer, but you know, you're just the
Yeah.
dancer right now on this set, and you're like, wow, this is so cool. And one day that could be you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't believe you, you know. So it is crazy. It's crazy to think that like I have a production company. It's something where again it doesn't even feel real. I imagine what it's like being a parent where like until your kid is like 18, you're like,
Yeah.
I have a kid. Because even even when we're on set, sometimes when people are like, you know, what do you do on set? And it's like, oh, I'm a producer, da 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 da. And somehow, you know, comes like, oh, this is your company, and it's like, yeah, you know, and it's just like, wow, it is, you know, at the risk of sounding vain, like it is humbling. It is like, it is overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming to say the least, and then to have, you know, it be supported by people and recognized. And I think like again, we just had our 5th year anniversary, and I feel like this is the first year where like where we're being talked about. There's
Yeah.
mumbles, you know, and I think that's the first step, right? Is
Yeah.
it's no longer like, you know, what is that? You know, it's like, oh yeah, I think I heard of that, or oh, I had a friend that worked on one of their projects. And so it's just, you know, it's a journey, it's a marathon, and I'm excited to be here for every step of the way. And it's crazy, it's only been 5 years, and I just think like, yeah, I think, you know, I'm hopeful for the future of film, especially with the way things have been going this summer, and
Yeah.
just the summer blockbuster I feel like we've been having, the growth we've been having. I was even just reading today in LA, feature film production is up 50% in LA this year.
Which
You
is
know, so
amazing.
it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing. And like 48 of the 52 projects that were just awarded the tax credit by California they're indie projects.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, and I we love our studios. They do great stuff, but you know, the studios don't need the tax credits. Like give it to the indies, you know,
Right.
I would love to see, $10 million movies made, or $100 $1 million movies made. Um, because I think indie is just like, it is the heart and the soul of the industry. It is,
Yeah.
it is what makes cinema. And like, if you look at all the people now that are making some of the best movies that are, arguably the blockbuster films, those people started with indie films, and like they, made some of the best indie films. So yeah, I think movies just bring so much joy and like emotions
Yeah.
to me, as I'm sure they do to you and everybody. And that's why it's living the dream, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's every time I walk onto a set, every time I walk onto a sound stage or a back lot, like like there is that 5-year-old in me for like 30 seconds where it's like, holy fucking shit. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like, and then it's like, okay, lock in, like we have to work.
Right.
Like, even when that crane showed up, it was like, this is insane. This is insane. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like I'm living the dream, and I feel so blessed and lucky, and just honored, and yeah, I think I just want to continue to grow good work to like to be able to be a vessel for other artists, and
Yeah.
just for like what brings me the most joy is being able to give agency to other creators, right? Like the other keys and the other, technicians that work in these films. And like, I like having a $10 million budget, obviously, because but I also like it because then it's like, I want to have fully supported departments.
Yeah.
I want all my departments heads to have everybody they need and everybody they
Right.
want, and I want everybody to be on a fair wage, and like, so like that's like one of the things I love about being a producer is like, when we get a green light for a nice juicy budget, it's like, call the department heads, let them know they get assistants and seconds and thirds and fourths,
Yeah.
and here's your kit fee for 9 days. It's just like, it's fun to like spread the
Yeah.
wealth and to spread the love, and to be like, we have so much resources, like let's make some really great shit happen. Like,
Yeah.
that's the dream.
That's amazing. And congrats on 5 years of
Thank
good
you.
work and
Thank you.
all of your success. Like, I'm so inspired because you've done so much in all of the fields that I'm interested in. And I just love what you're about and what good work's about, of fostering that positive environment, like having that good morale with everyone, and recognizing the true like value in each role on set,
Mm.
and how that dancer brain can be such an asset when it comes to producing and directing. Like, I love that crossover, and I think that's so cool because a lot of dancers might think about the dance career, but not what comes after. And I
Yeah.
think knowing that
And
there's
it's
these
scary.
and knowing that there's these opportunities available to them if they're interested, and that their experience can be an asset in that way. So, and I also love what you said about thinking of 5-year-old you. I do that very frequently, where I'll just picture my younger self and be like, my younger self would freak out
Yeah.
at this right now. She'd be so proud. And it really grounds you, reminds you why you're doing this. And yeah, it just kind of heals that inner child, and you're making that younger you proud.
Thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. I mean, it's, like we're headquartered in the heart of Hollywood, right behind the Netflix building. And it's like, there's times when it's like, oh, this Netflix building, because like they love to set their alarm off at crazy hours, and like they have crazy parties on their rooftop all the time. And it's a vibe, but it's,
Yeah.
it is a little annoying sometimes. But then it's also just like, you're behind the Netflix building. Like, and
Right.
I know Netflix is a bit of a sore spot in the industry sometimes, but, they have, blown up whatever. I'm not here to say what Netflix has or hasn't done, but the point
Yeah.
is they are a big player in the industry.
Yeah.
And so to just be like, hey, you're right, you're a neighbor to them, and again, it's just taking that, I think, at face value of just like, hey, you're in the heart of Hollywood, you're making it happen. And, I mean, yeah, I say to dancers too, like, I think dancers are in some of the best positions. I know we all think like you turn 30 and you can never dance again, and it's like, okay, what do you have no career. But
Right.
I think dancers are in some of the best positions as we move forward into this future, because it's like AI is going to be able to replicate a lot of things. AI will never be able to replicate dance.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we can build robots that can dance, but it just still will never be the same thing.
Totally.
And I think for a while, I think, let's just say, whether it's in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, it's going to be fun and novel for a while, right? For people to go onto Netflix and go like, I want to watch, Friends, but they look like me and all this and that and the other. Or I want to, like, let me watch this episode of Game of Thrones, but, it's set in 1906 Switzerland.
Yeah.
People are going to love the novelty of watching whatever they want, whenever they want.
Right.
And And I think it'll be fun for a while, and I think, sure, it'll be great. But then I think we'll have this kind of pendulum swing where people will start to crave real media and
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
film. And in the same way, right, where it's like, even with like, fast fashion, right? There's this kind of pushback for fast fashion,
Yeah.
and I think everything has its pros and its cons, but it's just, there will be that pushback. There will always be people who want to use it, just like there's always people who want to use fast fashion.
Right.
But there will be people who will be willing to pay top dollar for quality,
Yeah.
human-made stuff, in the same way that you and I pay, top dollar for like quality-made, human bags or things like that, that are
Yeah.
handmade. So yeah. So dancers, don't worry, AI can never take your job. And but yeah, it's definitely an interesting industry, and I think it's gonna be really exciting to see the growth.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah.
Well, JP, thank you so much for coming on Call Sheet Confessions.
My pleasure, Mia. Thank you so much for having me. This was
Of
so much fun.
course.
I've had so much fun with you,
Me
and
too.
yeah, thank you.
Yes. Where can we find you? What can we look forward to?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at JP_Stanley. Goodwork Productions is just Goodwork Productions. And yeah, we got a lot of new fun projects coming out. Um, yeah, I think you'll just have to stay tuned. It's crazy. This is like one of the weirdest times. Like, I have so many projects that have already been shot. We're just waiting for them to be released.
Yeah.
And it's weird. We have projects from March and April that haven't been released yet, but got a lot of stuff coming out mid-July, so that'll be fun.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think just stay tuned. We'll definitely have some features in the work and things like that too. So
That's
yeah,
so exciting.
check it out.
Yes.
Come hang out with us on set.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you, Mia.
And thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of Call Sheet Confessions. Always make sure to work hard and chase the dream. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. May your call times be reasonable and your checks be on time. And like my Mimi always says, break a leg, but not really. We'll see you next time. Bye.